My girlfriend said, "This year, no more drama." I replied, "Starting now." Then I ended it on New Year's Eve, took back everything, vanished, and I smiled when her no drama became all tears. "Hey Reddit. This year, no more drama," she said, laughing as she clinked her champagne glass against mine. I looked at her, really looked at her, standing there in the sparkly dress I'd bought her last week, the one she'd posted about on Instagram without mentioning me once. The same way she'd posted about the vacation I paid for. The same way she'd posted about every gift, every dinner, every experience I'd given her for the past 2 years. "Starting now," I said, and set down my glass. The smile fell off her face. "What? We're done. Get your things and leave." It was 11:47 p.m. on New Year's Eve. 13 minutes before midnight. 13 minutes before everyone around the world kissed their partners and made promises about fresh starts and new beginnings. I was about to have the freshest start of all. I'm 29. She's 27. We'd been together for almost 3 years, living together for the last 8 months in the condo I own. The condo she'd redecorated with my money while contributing exactly nothing to rent, utilities, or groceries. But I'm getting ahead of myself. 3 weeks earlier, something shifted. We were at her friend Becca's Christmas party, another friend I'd never really liked but tolerated because that's what you do when you love someone. I was standing near the kitchen, holding a beer I wasn't drinking, when I overheard Becca talking to 2 other women I didn't recognize. "I don't know how she does it," Becca said, her voice carrying that particular tone of admiration mixed with envy. "She's got him completely wrapped around her finger. He pays for everything, and she doesn't have to do anything." "Seriously?" one of the other women asked. "Dead serious. Rent, food, her car payment, everything. She told me she hasn't paid for anything except her nails in like 6 months." They laughed. All 3 of them laughed. "What does she even do all day?" the third woman asked. "I don't know. Post on Instagram? She's always out shopping or at brunch." Meanwhile, he works like 60 hours a week. Is he rich or something? No, that's the thing. He's just, I don't know, he seems nice. Kind of a pushover though. She says he never says no to anything. I stood there, beer warming in my hand, and felt something crack inside my chest. Not my heart breaking. That would come later. This was different. This was the sound of my eyes opening. I didn't confront anyone that night. I smiled, made small talk, drove us home while she scrolled through her phone the entire ride, and I started paying attention. Really paying attention. The next morning, she slept until noon while I made breakfast. When she finally came downstairs, she didn't say good morning. She said, "Did you make coffee?" "Yeah, it's in the pot." She poured herself a cup, added the expensive oat milk I'd bought specifically because she mentioned liking it once, and sat down at the table with her phone. "What do you want to do today?" I asked. "I need to go to the mall. That dress I wanted is finally on sale." "Okay. What time?" "Like 2? I need to shower and do my makeup." "Sounds good." She didn't look up from her phone. Not once during the entire conversation. At the mall, I watched her shop. I'd done this hundreds of times before, but this time I was watching differently. She didn't ask my opinion on anything. She didn't include me in the process. She'd hold something up, take a selfie in the mirror, post it to her Instagram story with the caption, "Shopping Therapy Sparkles," and either buy it or put it back based on the responses she got in the next 30 seconds. When we got to the register, she didn't reach for her wallet. She never reached for her wallet. She just looked at me expectantly, the same way you'd look at a waiter you're ready to order from. I paid. I always paid. In the car on the way home, she was texting someone and giggling. "Who's that?" I asked. "Just Becca. She's being dramatic about some guy." "The party was fun last night," I said, testing the waters. "Yeah, it was okay. The food was kind of whatever." I thought the conversation was interesting. "What conversation?" "Nothing specific. Just people watching, I guess." She went back to her phone. That night, I started going through our finances. Not in a creepy way. These were accounts I already had access to, bills I already paid. I just wanted to see the actual numbers laid out in front of me. In the 8 months we'd lived together, she'd contributed $400 total. That was it. 1 month, early on, she'd sent me $400 and said, for rent and stuff. I'd paid $24,000 in rent alone, another $3,200 in utilities, roughly $4,800 in groceries. Her car payment, which she'd asked me to help with temporarily for months ago, was $380 a month. I'd paid $1,520 so far. Insurance, phone bill, subscriptions to services she wanted, clothes, dinners out, weekend trips. I added it up 3 times because I couldn't believe the number. $47,340. In 8 months, I had spent over $47,000 supporting a lifestyle she led while contributing almost nothing and apparently bragging to her friends about it. I sat there at my desk at 2 a.m., staring at the spreadsheet, and something else cracked. This time it was my heart. The thing is, I loved her. Or I thought I did. Maybe I loved the version of her I'd created in my head. The one who appreciated what I did and saw me as a partner instead of a wallet with a pulse. I started testing boundaries. Hey, I'm not going to be able to make dinner tonight, I said one evening. Work's crazy. Okay, so what am I supposed to eat? Not, that's okay, I'll figure something out. Not, no problem, I'll cook. Just a complaint about how my unavailability inconvenienced her. There's food in the fridge, I said. There's nothing good. Then order something. She stared at me like I'd suggested she walk to China. With what money? Your money. I don't get paid until Friday. It was Tuesday. She worked part-time at a boutique, maybe 20 hours a week, making $16 an hour. She should have had money. I'd done the math. Even with her minimal hours, she was bringing in at least $1,200 a month. Where was it going? What do you spend your paychecks on? I asked. Her eyes narrowed. Are you serious right now? I'm just asking. I have expenses. Like what? Like things you wouldn't understand. Self-care, my nails, hair appointments, skincare. Things I need to look good. For you, by the way. I never asked you to spend money on those things. So you want me to look ugly? That's how she argued. Every boundary I tried to set became an attack on her. Every question became an accusation. Every attempt at a reasonable conversation became a fight where somehow I ended up apologizing. But not this time. I want you to contribute, I said. To the household. To us. I feel like I'm doing everything. You're doing everything? Are you kidding me? I cleaned this place. I looked around the condo. There were dishes in the sink from 2 days ago. Her clothes were draped over the couch. The bathroom counter looked like a beauty supply store had exploded on it. When? I asked. When what? When do you clean? I cleaned the kitchen last week. I cleaned the kitchen yesterday. There's a receipt for the cleaning supplies in my wallet. Well, I do other things. Like what? I make this place feel like a home. I deal with your moods. I put up with your long hours and your stress. That's emotional labor, and you don't appreciate it. I'd heard the term emotional labor before. I'd read about it, understood it, respected it. But this wasn't that. This was weaponizing language to avoid accountability. I appreciate you, I said quietly. I just need you to meet me halfway. I do meet you halfway. How? She didn't have an answer. She just stared at me, tears forming in her eyes. The tears that usually made me backtrack and apologize and drop whatever issue I'd raised. How? I asked again. You're being mean, she whispered. I'm asking you a question. A mean question. She left the room, went upstairs, and locked herself in the bedroom. An hour later, she came down dressed to go out. Where are you going? I asked. Becca's. Since you obviously don't want me here. She didn't come home that night. She texted me at 1 a.m. Staying at Becca's. Need space. I didn't respond. I sat on the couch in the condo I paid for, surrounded by things I'd bought, and felt completely alone. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in manipulation. She came home the next afternoon, acting like nothing had happened. When I tried to continue our conversation, she shut down. I don't want to fight, she'd say. I don't either. I want to talk. Same thing. It wasn't the same thing, but she'd made up her mind. Any attempt to discuss finances, contributions, or our relationship dynamics was filed under fighting, and fighting was something she was too mature and evolved to engage in. She started posting more on Instagram, pictures of herself, quotes about knowing your worth and not settling for less than you deserve. One post, a photo of her at a coffee shop I'd driven her to, had the caption, "Reminder, you don't owe anyone anything. Protect your peace. Crown." The comments were full of her friends hyping her up. "Yes, Queen. You deserve everything. Don't let anyone dim your light." I was paying for the phone she used to post it. I was paying for the car she drove to get there. I was paying for the coffee in her hand. But I was also, apparently, someone she needed to protect her peace from. A week before Christmas, I made a decision. I was done. Not in the angry, impulsive way. Not in the hurt, lashing out way. I was done in the calm, clear-headed way that comes when you finally accept reality instead of fighting it. I started planning. First, I consulted a lawyer. Since we weren't married, things were straightforward. The condo was mine, bought before we met. Everything in it was mine, purchased with my money. She had no legal claim to anything. "Is there anything jointly owned?" the lawyer asked. "No." "Any shared bank accounts?" "No." "Any reason she'd have legal grounds to stay in the property if you ask her to leave?" "No." "She's not on the lease, not on any bills, nothing." "Then you're free to terminate the relationship and request she vacate. Give her reasonable time to collect her belongings. And if she refuses, you can pursue a formal eviction." I wasn't going to need an eviction. I started moving money. Not hiding it. I wasn't doing anything illegal. I just moved it into accounts she didn't know about, closed the credit card I'd stupidly added her as an authorized user on, and made sure that when the moment came, she'd have no access to my finances. I documented everything. Screenshots of her Instagram posts where she flexed things I'd bought. Receipts for every purchase. Bank statements showing her lack of contribution. Not because I thought I'd need them legally, but because I knew how this would go. She'd tell everyone I was the villain. She'd spin a story where she was the victim and I was the monster who blindsided her and kicked her out with no warning. I wanted the truth handy. Then I planned the timing. New Year's Eve seemed perfect. Poetic, even. She wanted no drama in the new year. I'd give her that. She'd start the New Year's single, homeless, and forced to figure out her own life. Maybe that was cruel. Maybe I should have had a mature conversation and given her 30 days notice. But she'd had 3 years to have mature conversations with me. 3 years to treat me like a partner instead of a resource. 3 years to appreciate what I provided instead of taking it for granted. I was out of mercy. The week between Christmas and New Year's was surreal. She was in a good mood, probably because I'd stopped bringing up anything serious. She thought she'd won, that she'd train me to stop complaining and just accept my role as her personal ATM. On December 30th, she asked what we were doing for New Year's Eve. "I was thinking we'd stay in," I said. "Nice dinner, champagne, watch the ball drop." "Really? That's kind of boring. I think it'll be nice. Intimate." She considered this, probably weighing it against whatever parties her friends were throwing, and decided, "Okay, but you have to cook something really good." Deal. I cooked. I made her favorite meal, filet mignon, roasted vegetables, garlic mashed potatoes. I set the table with candles. I bought expensive champagne. I even bought her the sparkly dress she'd been posting about wanting. "Oh my God, you got me the dress," she squealed when she opened the box that afternoon. "Thought you'd like it." "I love it. You're the best." She kissed me on the cheek and ran upstairs to try it on. 20 minutes later, I heard the camera shutter sound from her phone as she took pictures. Another 10 minutes after that, it was on Instagram. NY Ready Sparkles feeling blessed. No mention of me. No tag. Nothing. Someone commented, "Where'd you get that dress? It's gorgeous." Her response, I treated myself smiling face with smiling eyes. I smiled. This was going to be easier than I thought. We ate dinner. She talked about her plans for the new year, things she wanted to do, places she wanted to go, goals she wanted to achieve. Everything was I, nothing was we. What about you? She finally asked. Any resolutions? Just one, I said. What is it? I'll tell you at midnight. She liked that. She thought it was romantic. She probably imagined I was going to propose or make some grand declaration of love. At 11:30, we moved to the living room. I poured champagne. We sat on the couch I'd bought, in the condo I owned, surrounded by the life I'd funded. This year, no more drama, she said, laughing as she clinked her glass against mine. I looked at her, in her sparkly dress, holding her expensive champagne, sitting in her borrowed life, and felt nothing. No love, no anger, no sadness, just clarity. Starting now, I said, and set down my glass. The smile fell off her face. What? We're done. Get your things and leave. She laughed. Actually laughed. Very funny. I'm not joking. What are you talking about? I'm breaking up with you. This relationship is over. You need to get your belongings and go. Her face went through several expressions: confusion, disbelief, amusement, and finally, anger. You're serious? Completely. Are you insane? It's New Year's Eve. I'm aware. You can't just kick me out. I can. This is my condo. You're not on any lease, any bills, anything. You're a guest who's overstayed her welcome. A guest? Are you fucking kidding me right now? I've thought about this a lot, I said, my voice calm. You don't contribute anything to this relationship. You use me for money, for housing, for everything, and you don't appreciate any of it. You treat me like an ATM, and I'm done being one. I don't use you. You've paid $400 in 8 months. I've spent over $47,000. You don't cook, don't clean, don't work full-time, and you spend all your money on yourself while I pay for your entire life. That's not fair. It's math. You're being abusive. I'm being honest. Tears started forming in her eyes. How can you do this to me? How can you do what you've been doing to me for 3 years? I love you. No, you don't. You love what I provide. There's a difference. She stood up, champagne sloshing in her glass. I'm not leaving. Yes, you are. You can't make me. I pulled out my phone and opened it to the lawyer's number. I can call the police and have you removed for trespassing. Or you can leave on your own. Your choice. Her face went pale. You wouldn't. Try me. We stared at each other. Outside, I could hear fireworks starting to go off. Other people in other condos, celebrating. Happy. Fine, she spat. Fine. I'll leave. But I'm taking my stuff. Your stuff. Not mine. What does that mean? It means you take what you came with and what you bought with your own money. Everything else stays. That's insane. That's fair. She stormed upstairs. I followed, not because I didn't trust her, although I didn't, but because I wanted to make sure she understood the boundaries. She started throwing things into a suitcase. Clothes, makeup, shoes. When she reached for the iPad on the nightstand, I stopped her. That's mine. You gave it to me. I let you use it. I paid for it. It's registered to my Apple account. It stays. You're unbelievable. The dress you're wearing was a gift. You can keep it. Consider it a breakup present. She called me names I won't repeat. She cried. She threatened. She begged. She went through every stage of manipulation in her playbook, and none of it worked. At 11:58, she had 2 suitcases packed with her actual belongings. Not much, considering she'd lived here 8 months. But then again, she'd never really lived here. She'd just existed in the space I provided. Where am I supposed to go? She asked, tears streaming down her face. Becca's. Your parents. A hotel. I don't care. I don't have money for a hotel. Should have thought about that before spending all your paychecks on yourself. Please, she whispered. Please don't do this. I'll change. I'll be better. I'll contribute more. Just give me another chance. For a moment, just a moment, I felt bad. She looked genuinely devastated, standing there in the dress I'd bought, mascara running down her face, her whole world collapsing. But then I remembered Becca's party. I remembered the laughter. I remembered $400 in 8 months, and she's got him completely wrapped around her finger, and kind of a pushover though. No, I said. At midnight, as fireworks exploded outside and people cheered and kissed and celebrated new beginnings, I watched her drag her suitcases to her car, the car I'd been paying for. The car payment, I said. That's yours now. Don't miss a payment or they'll repo it. Her face crumpled again. How am I supposed to afford that? Get a better job. Work more hours. Budget. You know what adults do. She got in the car and sat there for a minute, crying. Then she started it and drove away. I stood in the doorway of my condo, watching her taillights disappear, and I smiled. The aftermath was predictable. Within an hour, my phone was blowing up. Becca, her other friends, people I barely knew calling me an asshole, a monster, abusive, heartless. I blocked them all. She posted on Instagram the next morning. A long, rambling story about how she'd been blindsided, how I'd kicked her out with no warning, how she'd given me her best years and I'd thrown her away like trash. The comments were exactly what you'd expect. What a piece of shit. You deserve so much better. Karma's going to get him. I didn't respond. Didn't defend myself. Didn't post my side of the story. I just let her have her narrative. But I did text a few people who mattered. My close friends, my family. I sent them the screenshots, the receipts, the numbers. Not to gossip, but to protect myself from whatever story she was spinning. Holy shit, my best friend replied. I knew she was high maintenance, but this is insane. Are you okay? My sister asked. Yeah, I wrote back. I'm great, actually. And I was. 2 weeks later, she texted me. Can we talk? I didn't respond. Please. I just want to talk. I blocked her number. A week after that, she showed up at my condo. I watched her through the Ring camera, standing at the door, ringing the bell over and over. I didn't answer. She left a note under the door. I'm sorry. I understand now. I was wrong. Can we please try again? I threw it away. It's been 3 months now. I've heard through mutual acquaintances that she moved back in with her parents. She's working full-time now, apparently. Had to, since she couldn't afford her lifestyle without me. I don't feel bad. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel anything except relief and a strange sort of pride. I'd spent 3 years being a pushover, being the nice guy, being the one who provided and sacrificed and accommodated. And where did it get me? Used, unappreciated, and laughed about at parties. That version of me died at 11:47 p.m. on New Year's Eve. The new version? He knows his worth. He sets boundaries. He doesn't accept breadcrumbs when he's providing the whole meal. She wanted no more drama in the new year. I gave her exactly that. I gave her silence, absence, and the opportunity to figure out her own life without using me as a crutch. And when her no drama resolution turned into tears, begging, and social media rants, I smiled. Because for the first time in 3 years, the drama wasn't mine anymore. It was all hers. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how I handled it. If I think I should have given her more warning, more chances, more grace. My answer is always the same. I gave her 3 years of chances. I gave her $47,000 worth of grace. I gave her my patience, my time, my generosity, and my love. She took all of it and gave nothing back. So no, I don't regret it. Not even a little bit. The best thing I ever did for myself was take back my life from someone who saw it as nothing more than a resource to exploit. She said she wanted no drama. I gave her a drama-free life, one where she couldn't use me anymore. And that sparkly dress she was wearing when I ended it? She can keep it. Consider it a souvenir from the last night she got to live for free.